Welcome back, everyone. We are now on episode 8 of MKTV, and we are here with a pretty special guest. Now, you may know him from a couple things. Maybe Suits, maybe young Sheldon, or a few other things. You never know. Esteban, how are you going today?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing well, Bill. Nice to meet you finally.
It's good to have you on the show. I didn't even realize this, but a couple days ago I was rewatching Young Sheldon, and I actually saw your appearance in that. And I completely forgot you were in that for a second, so it was a bit of a surprise to get you on. But yeah,
I like to do that to people. I like to be like, oh, you didn't know I was in this, but I am.
you
I have a
are.
lot of friends back home that get surprised every so often.
It's good to have you, mate. Well, getting
Thank
straight
you.
into it, I feel like I have to ask, what was the whole experience like of your audition for Suits? Because you play the most iconic character, young Louis Litt. Like that's pretty iconic. If you gotta say, how did you get that
I
role?
have to. If I were to play anyone young from that show, it would definitely be Louis Litt. It was great. I never saw the show before the audition. I known about it because one of my best friends, that was his favorite show. But I never watched an episode before. I didn't know the characters, but I got an audition on a Friday, so I had the weekend to kind of watch the show and learn all of Lewis's mannerisms and stuff like that. So from Friday to Monday, I had to kind of binge watch and kind of prepare the three scenes that they gave me. I auditioned on Monday, and they called me back in the next day, Tuesday. And then Wednesday, they were like, Esteban's the American choice. We're gonna do some local hires in Toronto, well, local auditions in Toronto, and we'll get back to you. And by Thursday, they let me know Esteban is the overall choice for the role. So it was pretty crazy because I auditioned on a Monday, and by the next Monday, I had been flown over to Canada to start filming. So it was a lot of binge watching, but I loved it. I ended up loving the show so much and the characters and Lewis because first season, I think a lot of people can agree they don't like Lewis. He was a little hard. He was a villain, in a way in the beginning in the first season. But then the episode with the cat and stuff like that, and moments like that really got you to realize, oh, this is actually like a very lovable person deep down inside, and that's why I love to learn more about it when I was researching Lewis.
He does so many bad things, but he also does so many good things at the same time. Like, I
Yeah.
remember there's a scene where him and Mike teamed up for a day, and then he got this cake for him, and then Harvey swooped in and got him back, and he just put the cake in the bin, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah,
That's-
that was the best part about it. Is like sometimes you really loved him and it was awesome and he had some great moments, and then he would just do something really disappointing, and I love that because it felt so real. Like that's such a real character, such a real person. We're never perfect and we have our flaws, and that's what I loved about that character most, I think, is we saw a lot of his flaws and his wins.
Did you get to talk to Lewis's actor? I forgot. I'm having a mind blank. Rick. There we go. Is it Rick? Oh yeah, yeah. Did you get to talk to him
Yes.
before doing any episodes?
No, I didn't really meet him in person until the second episode. I filmed another episode. They brought me back, which was a nice surprise. I was never planned to come back, but they rewrote, and well, not rewrote, but they wrote another episode for me to come back, and that's when I met him. But I just kind of filmed it, and after I filmed it, a couple months after, when they had edited the episode, Rick saw the episode. He messaged me on Twitter. Well, at the time it was called Twitter, and it was such a nice message. He was basically saying things like, not often does an opportunity come where you play a character long enough where you get to see a younger version of that character happen. It was basically like praising like the performance, and it was very sweet. And that's before the episode aired. So hearing it from him before the episode aired brought all the nerves down of when it did air, because if there's anyone that I needed the approval of, it's him. The fans, it's nice that the fans approved of the performance as well, but him, just hearing him approve of it was the best thing ever. And to be honest with you, that was my first TV gig ever.
Oh wow.
I just freshly graduated school in June that year, and then September I auditioned for it and filmed it in September, and it was just like 3 months in, and I got very fortunate to get such a great first TV performance from that. So it was like I was spoiled. Like, they flew me out there. I had a nice hotel. I got to play this amazing character. I was spoiled for my first experience of a television role. So it has a very like close place in my heart for that role specifically. So
They've set your standards pretty high. They've done all this for you, and now, yeah,
oh yeah, oh
the
yeah. And I've done
standards.
a lot of TV, but the best part about that one was everyone was already a family. I walked in on a 7 season show. You know, they had already been filming for 7 seasons, so they already had their family put together. And when I walked in, it was like the most welcoming family ever, and it was such an amazing set to be a part of because they had been together for so long. They already had great chemistry, everyone. So
When you were filming the scenes, because obviously the sets were set many years ago, because obviously it was during his childhood. What was it like kind of seeing that era of cars and all that? Because I was noticing that when watching it. And it must be pretty weird to see a set so designed specifically for that year. Like, what was that
yeah.
like?
Well, the car that I got to drive in was the very first thing I filmed when I got there, which was so cool. I was like, this is cool. This car was very much from the 80s. Like it was old school, and I got to drive it into the shot and stuff like that. It was hot. There was no AC and stuff in it and stuff. So it was pretty hot. And I was wearing like a sweater, but it was really cool seeing like that experience. And also like you said, all the set decorations and stuff that were specific to the 80s. I really enjoyed that. And then even watching it come to fruition once the episode aired, the music they added and stuff like that to all the scenes. It was a blast. I really loved being able to be kind of a hint in the 80s. Now I had shorter hair and didn't really get to do much stuff with my hair or anything, but seeing my co-stars have their hair be all 80s out and stuff like that, that was really cool to see as well. I loved it.
Now, I had a bit of a look at your Instagram page when doing my research, and I saw that you had the cup. You just got lit up, and I want to know, did you get to keep it? Because that's a pretty iconic cup.
Excuse me.
Is he grabbing it? Oh, no way.
It's right there.
He got it. He's got it.
You just got lit up. Yeah, I love this cup.
So yeah, that answers my question. You got to keep the
cup. Cheers. Yeah.
Did you get to keep anything else, or did you nab anything else from set while you were there?
Oh man, let me think. I don't think I did. If I were to take anything, I would have loved to take in the baton. I don't know if you noticed in that one scene they had me baton twirling. Now they hired someone to teach me how to baton twirl. So I was in Harvey's boxing gym because there's a lot of scenes where he's boxing. That's where I rehearsed. So I saw Harvey preparing like a scene and stuff. And by the way, Gabriel Mock is ginormously tall. I did not realize how tall he was in real life, but he is. But he was in there, kind of working out some spacing for a scene they had in that episode. But that's where I was training the baton for 2 hours. I learned baton for 2 hours, and I learned like a whole routine just for them to use 5 seconds. And that's how it goes. But hey, I learned a new skill, and it was super fun. And
you learned something new. I mean, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
One of the things I did notice a lot, especially when it came to your scenes being posted to either YouTube or TikTok, everyone says that you nailed Louis perfectly, which I think is a huge compliment. As you were saying before, it is good to hear the fans accept you, but it is true. Like everyone I saw said you nailed it. Like how you portrayed yourself, how you spoke, it's kind of perfect. Which, you must be pretty proud of that, honestly. Like,
yeah, I do take a lot of pride in that performance, and with the turnaround time I had to like learn about this character and figure out his mannerisms, his physicality, and the way he spoke. And like, I mean, I speak with my mouth real relaxed. I noticed that Rick Hoffman, when he does Louis, he kind of like talks like out of his teeth. And so I'm glad that it didn't come off cheesy or overdone. I'm glad it came off like something familiar for the fans. They could tell who I was playing, and that made me happy. And it's a lot of the messages I've received in the past couple of years have been really sweet, really nice, and really validating as an actor for sure, especially because that was, like I said, my first TV gig ever. So
do you think, as an actor, being in a show like Suits, because that, you were there for one season 7 and then you were back the season after, do you think being in Suits was like beneficial to your career as an actor, like having that as a credit and a demo reel? Because obviously anything is good as a credit and demo reel, but Suits is pretty up there, when it comes to what you get.
You know what's funny? At the time that the episode aired, Suits had a fan base, but it did not have as big of a fan base as it does today, because out of nowhere, was it last year or was it 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. Netflix got Suits on there for like across, I think, the international. It was the first time in America that they had Suits on Netflix, and that's when everything just kind of resparked. That's why they have Suits LA coming out now. It's because there was such a huge demand and popularity after the show had been for years now, like over. It blew up, and at the time, it had its fan base, but it wasn't as big as it is now. But back then, it did still help. It was a guest star role, which usually a lot of actors, when they're first starting out, they kind of get what we call co-star, which is people who usually have one line or even just one scene in something. I got a guest star, which was a prominent role in the plot of the episode with 3 or 4 scenes. And my manager, when I got that, he was like, "This doesn't happen. This does not happen. Usually, people have to work really hard to get a couple smaller roles first, and then they get a role like this." And I got very fortunate and blessed to have gotten this role like I was my first. So I remember going into some auditions at the time, uh, and some casting directors would know about it. So I would do my audition. They would say, "Thank you so much. That was great." And then afterwards, I would start walking away. It's like, "I love your performance in Suits." And I was like, "What? You saw that?" So I think it did help me get into some rooms, some more audition rooms. I think it did help me because before Suits, all I had was like a few short film scenes I did in college. And finally I had something on my reel in which casting directors could see and be like, "Oh, they act professionally." So it definitely, I think, helped push things along a lot more for me. And it
Yeah.
helped me become SAG, helped me become part of the union.
Oh,
So
congratulations. Do you ever just
thank you.
sometimes drop, just randomly in a conversation? Oh, by the way, I was in Suits. Do you ever just sometimes drop that line every now and again? Because that's kind of like.
Not like that.
Oh, and obviously not
Sometimes
like that, but.
sometimes people would, be like, I have run into people that have recognized me. It's like, where do I know you from? And it happened in the airport when I was flying. I had a recent job I filmed in Bulgaria for like 2 months back in November. And when we're getting ready to go through security, someone goes, "I know you. Who are you?" And I'm like, "You watch Suits?" He's like, "Ah." And sometimes I can kind of tell which people like recognize me from what, and it's most of the time it's definitely Suits. Yeah, I think every once in a while, like if I'm if I'm out like and I meet new friends or whatever. Like one time I was in New York visiting some friends and I had to meet like a whole bunch of people, and people were asking like, "Oh, who are you? Like, who do you know here?" I was like, "Oh, I know this person." It's like, "What do you do? Did you meet them in this field?" I was like, "No, no, I'm an actor." And they're like, "You're an actor? What have you been in?" And I start listing a few things, and Suits is definitely probably one of the first ones I say because it is so well known and the character is so well known as well. So I don't just go like, "Hey, you want a drink? By the way, I was in Suits."
Suits.
It's not like that. It doesn't happen like that. It happens when asked
When
what I've
asked,
been in.
yeah. Which is, the way I worded it was just being funny, but
Yeah.
just casually drop it. But speaking of your other experiences, right? Because you've been in quite a few things after that, and I feel like one of the more popular ones is also young Sheldon. You played a little delivery boy who was delivering his Sheldon's
Yeah.
items, and I'd love to know like. What was that experience like? Because obviously you were in that scene, you got to see the main cast, and I'd love to know
Mhm.
what that whole experience was like for you.
Yeah, that kid is brilliant. In real life, he's really intelligent and very mature and understands the business, but at the same time, he is a kid. Well, at least when I worked with him was 2021, so 4 years almost now that I worked with him, and it, it was just mind blowing how smart he was, intelligent, but at the same time, he's a kid, so he just kind of like talked a lot, and I could tell the mom, the actress, was like, you know, has been around the energy for a long time that she was able to like withhold it. So it was funny to see the dynamic of, oh, this is a child actor. No matter how intelligent this person is, it's still a child, and children require a lot of energy back. And I learned a lot about that as an actor myself. I'm like, okay, interesting to see. Like this is what it might be like to work with child actors. Like there's gonna be energy, and so that was really nice. But it was cool because the set was beautiful. This was the house that they always film in, and we didn't even require mics. It was a sound stage, and it was built for this show, which is really cool because I don't think No, no. Before that, I worked on Never Have I Ever, and that I used a soundstage for that one. So there were a few times I've worked on sets where I would go to a studio lot and film in there, but majority of my career is like going to location. Like for Suits, there was only one scene that we ever filmed that we went to the studio lot where they had their sound stage and they decorated a room a certain way. Most of the time, otherwise, I'd go to like a building, a house that they would rent out for filming. So that's what I would say about Young Sheldon was very nice. Is like the cast was great, but also the professionalism of the sound stage. Like this is their home, this is their environment that's consistent, and I really like that.
Yeah, because their home is a set. Because like it does look pretty real when that angle, the camera is on you when you're delivering the food, and you see like it just looks like it's a suburban house, you know. And it's
Mm-hmm.
do you ever get
Just curtains.
it's
all the
crazy.
outside is just curtains. It's
That's
crazy. It's movie magic.
movie magic. And I gotta ask you to Never Have I Ever. That was also a role that you're in. You did this reaction content. What were you staring at? Because obviously you had the camera at you. Like, what was that experience like? Because obviously I feel like it'd be really odd to sit there at nothing, just reacting to nothing. You know. So
Oh man, I mean that's what the audition even felt weirder because for the audition I had to do a self tape and I did it by myself and just scream a bunch of things and it was weird, but it was helpful for the actor who I worked with, because even though in the scene we're not in the same room, he was in the same room with me. So I had to look at just a blank, TV and or laptop screen, and the director would just kind of give me a few things, or sometimes they'll just let me play, and the actor got to see that from behind the camera, watch it, react in real life, and then be like, okay, I remember certain moments. Let me go ahead and now film my scenes of my reactions to his reactions. So that was definitely a funny one. I mean, I've ended up taking the role of YouTuber or sleuth or podcast guy many times. I don't know if you saw that from the other credits, but that one was probably my first one where I was like, you know what, I kind of look like a guy who does that. I kind of look like an internet guy. So
he does
it
that.
was yeah, and that's why I have like the whole setup now. I literally use this for my auditions if they're podcast guy or whatever, and that's what it is. But yeah, I think that was a really cool set to be on because, like I said, it was another family that had worked 2 or 3 scenes together. I mean, seasons, and they've known each other for a while. So it was fun to jump in and kind of say hi.
One of the questions I did want to ask you as well, because your background and all that. I mean, it's pretty sick. Is this like a lounge room? Like, where are you currently for this setup?
Oh, this is so I just moved into this apartment back in May. This is
Ah,
my place. This is my living room. It's very like nautical tropical. Like that's a boat. My coffee table is a boat.
oh wow.
And I got all this because I was born in Cartagena, Colombia, and that's like the beach part of Colombia. So I'm very like Caribbean based. And then I grew up in South Florida. So I'm very used to being around like beach things, and I just kind of wanted to feel at home in my new home. So that's kind of like the route I went with my living room here, and now it's my use for everything. So
Yeah, because I did notice that, especially when watching some of your streams, because I did watch a few when I was doing my research, especially last week, because my stupid computer was acting up and I missed this interview. But yeah, I was just noticing how cool it looked in the background. So I
thank
wanted,
you.
yeah, it does look really cool. Great decoration on that.
Thank you. It means a lot. I not to be like too personal, but my whole life I kind of moved into new places every 2 years. And I never really felt like there was a place of mine that felt like home because as much as they tried, my parents never really were able to work on making the home feel homey. It was just kind of like hand me down furniture and nothing really matched and nothing was feng shuiing the right way and all of that. And because we were moving every 2 years, everything felt very temporary. This is my first time where I have like a place all to myself, a place that I can create my safe space, and now it feels like home. So this place means a lot to me, and I Facebook Marketplace is your best friend. A lot of the stuff is from there, and I worked really hard to make it a place where I could be proud of.
Well, I think you've done a great job because I was
Thank
noticing
you.
the whole time we're watching the stream just how nice it looked, and
Thank you
You
so
know
much.
what? My goal as well is to move into an apartment. Like, give me a studio. Just give me something easy, you know? Because I've had to convert my bedroom. I've had to change it around and turn it into like a studio. Because I just don't have that much room in here. It's just so.
I know it's like it's so overwhelming because I used to live in the place where I still streamed a little bit, but my bedroom was my office, was it was everything, and that's why I eventually was proud that I was able to gain enough financial gain that I could now have a place for everything. That my one bedroom wasn't everything. Now I have space for everything else, and it'll happen to you soon, I'm sure. It took me a couple of years, but I got there. You know.
Going on to my next question, I wanted to know because obviously I'd assume you've auditioned for quite a few things, and I'd love to know what is your funniest audition story? Because I feel like every actor has one.
Uh, I have maybe like two of them. One of them is commercial, and then the other one would be for a TV show. Um, the commercial one, you end up doing a lot of very strange commercial auditions because usually commercials are quirky or interesting and all that stuff. And this one audition, it was like my first year, uh, like auditioning. I get a notification that says callback, and I'm like callback. I look at it and I don't recognize this audition at all. Like, how is this a callback? I've never auditioned for this. And my agent was like, hey, they're expanding their options because they don't think they found what they're looking for in the first round of auditions. I'm like, okay, cool. I look at it, it says Latino, wrestler, that kind of stuff. Something, oh, like, and it says young, and it says like, okay, I'm thinking high school wrestler. So I put on some like gym clothes, make myself look like I'm a high school wrestler. And then I look at the size and it says 5'3". It says like 4'9" to 5'3". And I'm like, okay, I know I'm not the tallest guy, but 5'3" is really short
Very
compared
short.
to, to what I am. So I email my agent, I'm like, this is 5'3". You know, I'm much taller than 5'3", right? And she goes, yes, like I said, you know, they're kind of opening up. I'm like, all right, no worries. I just go ahead, get myself going. I'm Latino and I'm wearing my gym clothes. And I'm like, all right, let me just go. And I guess I'm a little taller what they're looking for, but hey, it's fine. I've got the rest down. I drive like an hour over there because back then we would have to drive for a very long time for commercial auditions. I would arrive, and then as soon as I got in, I saw a couple little people in the area. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, what audition's that for? I find my room, I sign up, and then I see them walking out, and there's one person that just finished an audition. Except this little person. Well, by the way, what the guy from the movie Jackass, like all those movies, that the little person in that one, he was in the
Oh,
audition with
oh,
me.
yep, yeah, yeah, yep.
I was like, just give it to him, you know. But one person walked out, and they were wearing a long cape, and I go, wrestler, luchador. Oh my goodness, this isn't like high school wrestling. They want a little person who does luchador. What am I doing at this audition? And I go
Oh.
in there, and as soon as I go into the room, they give me a mask, and I'm like, this is a luchador mask. What is about to happen? And they go, do we want to see the kicking or the chair? I'm thinking, what is about to happen? What are they going to tell me to do right now? And they said, let's see the kicking. They said, okay, go ahead and pretend like you're kicking another wrestler on the ground. And so I start doing it for a long time. And it's just awkward quiet. They're just sitting there while I'm kicking the ground. And I start going, well, I gotta channel my best little person, I guess. And I start going, and start kicking. And then they start laughing, but they make it last way longer than expected. It was just a very uncomfortable moment. And then they were like, all right, great, thank you so much. And they're like laughing and stuff. And I take off the mask and I go, all right, thanks, goodbye. And I walk out and I'm going back to my car and I just start laughing out loud to myself. I'm like, what did I just get myself into? Because this is, like I said, my first year auditioning. So that was a very interesting commercial one. The other one I got to audition for Wendy O'Brien. Wendy O'Brien cast things like Abbott Elementary and AP Bio, the Mayan show, everything like that. And eventually she did cast me in the show called Players, which was on Paramount Plus for a bit. And that was a great show. I was in several episodes for that. I was in 6 episodes for that one. But before she cast me ever, the first impression I had with her, I had these audition sides, and I'm working the scene with her, and I'm a little nervous, but I'm doing well. And then she goes, "Yeah, I don't think this is gonna work out." And I go, "Oh," I just stop. I drop my character, and I go, "Oh, I'm sorry, what would you like me to do? And she goes, oh no, honey, that's the line. And I totally forgot because she acts, she's one of those casting directors that acts with you. Like she gives her all in the room with you as a reader. And it felt so genuine that I thought she was talking to me, Esteban, not me like acting. And we just broke out laughing. And it was one of the most like funny auditions I've had where I was like, we are messing up and tripping on ourselves. And it was not my best audition. Like it was funny. I prepared so hard for it, but everything I prepared went down the window because I don't know what happened. And it was like one of those things where we both knew it was just a funny day because she kept calling me back after that. That was the first time I was with her, and she kept calling me back and cast me and things. And but it was just one of those things where I was like, oh my god, I thought she was talking to me. I forgot that that was the line in the scene. So, but I'm sure there's more. But oh my goodness, it's been many auditions. I have over 400 auditions I've done. So
Oh wow. Well, I guess that
yeah,
goes into my next question. Has there ever been something you've auditioned for that you wish you really got? Because surely there's been a project that you've seen. Because I know a lot of them
yeah,
use code names. If I'm
yeah. I mean, yeah, I've auditioned for like Marvel before, but no prominent roles that you would know. Like, hasn't the show hasn't even come out yet? Actually, now that I think about it, I wonder when that's going to come out. But there was one show in which I really loved it. It spoke a lot to me. It's called Neon. I loved it. I watched the show and it takes place in Florida, and it does center on a lot of Latino characters. And this is where I got to use my Spanish and speak Spanish. And I had this really funny character. I kind of based it off of Michael Pena. Michael Pena, he has this funny character in Ant-Man. I don't know if you've ever seen Ant-Man before, but he's one of Paul Rudd's friends in the movie, and he kind of talks fast. And he's kind of like funny, and he's not like the most intelligent person around, but he's got heart, and that's kind of who I played. And I went. This is Wendy O'Brien, by the way. Again, the casting director, and I went straight to the producer session, and I, met the showrunner, and they seemed to love me a lot, but. They ended up going with someone else who actually wasn't even Latino. They changed the character completely to a character that was like Filipino, and that happens a lot in this business. I really love that character, and I was excited to be able to film in Florida, the place I grew up in, and play this really cool character where I could represent myself as a Latino. And I really wanted it, and I thought I was going to get it because I was really, really close, and they really liked me. But that happens a lot in this business where they'll just change the script on you, and you can't control it. It just happens. So
what actually got you into acting? Like, how did you get started in this career?
I tried to run away from the performing arts. My dad's a professional ballet teacher. He danced on professional ballet in Boston Ballet. He danced with like York City, or which is funny enough because I filmed at York University where he danced ballet for Suits. But I did ballet growing up as a kid a little bit because he was such a ballet teacher. And eventually I kind of ran away from that because I was like, I don't want to do ballet. I got made fun of it, and I look back at that, I'm like, that's dumb. I should have stuck with it. But eventually I tried doing sports, and I was a lineman for American football. And I realized after my sophomore year of high school, I was like, you know what? As much as I love this, I'm not going to do this as a career. I am not 6'7" like most linemen in American football are. Those guys are huge. Those guys are really, really tall. And I realized this is not going to be a career me for this. So I just, kind of went back to my own thing. And maybe I was considering being a detective. I really like criminology and the study of that stuff. And I was really considering being a part of, more investigations. But one day, there was an opportunity that just came up on an ad randomly. It was one of those things where like it stops you. And it was for a school that had a 4-week program in New York City. And I just like New York City a lot. I knew I was never going to stay in Florida, and I love New York. So these 4 weeks I could spend in New York City, just kind of learning acting and stuff. And back then I wasn't like obsessed with it, but I was like, hey, it gives me an excuse to live in New York for 4 weeks. Let me do it. So I did it. And when I got there, I was just kind of like joking around and just having fun. But all the other actors there were so good. And I was so bad. I was just like, high school acting, and these kids were really, really talented. And so I realized during that time, I was like, you know what? Let me like lock in. Let me just focus and kind of get my gears into a shift and try this. And I did. And I realized, you know what? Like, I love studying this. I love working hard in this field. And I never felt that way about like a lot of other things. Like, I love music. I used to be I used to play piano all the time, and I still do, but I never really was interested in the industry of music. Um, but then I learned about the industry of acting, and I was like, I, I think I could love doing this for the rest of my life. So that very summer, I auditioned for 9 colleges for the acting programs, actually musical theater at the time, and I auditioned and I got into a few, and then I ended up going to one, and now I'm here. It's the weirdest thing. I never really planned for it until the summer going into my senior year of high school.
I do know you play a bit of guitar as well, from memory as well. What got you into playing instruments? Because obviously you said you play piano and you did guitar. I had to scroll very far to see some photos of this of you playing guitar. By the way,
Yeah,
all the way at the bottom.
I love it. I love the research. It makes me feel cared about. So thank you so much for going that.
I'll take that.
Um, I to be honest, I started music because of a girl. um, this girl she played piano very well. You know, she had done lessons since she was a kid, and we were both in middle school. And I had a big crush on her. And I thought, for some reason, I thought maybe if I learned the same instrument that she learns, it'd get me close to her somehow.
Did it work?
So I started taking. Now we're really good friends. Actually, I still keep in touch every now and then. No, it did not work. I never even got a date with this girl. But I got really good at piano, and I found a passion and love for it myself, and started becoming a songwriter. And I wrote a lot of instrumentals, and have performed many of them, and it got me to go into chorus, which singing happened. Excuse me, and I even got to use that for a role in Saved by the
By the
Bell.
bell, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They,
Damn it!
go ahead, go ahead.
You answered my next question. I was gonna ask if you got any vocal training for your singing part in Saved by the Bell.
Yeah. Yeah. I studied musical theater for like 2 years in New York City. And then I realized the roles that they kept giving me were for like 30 or 40-year olds. And I was 18, 19 with a baby face. You know, I still got a very young face. And I realized, no, I don't want to wait that long to work. I want to work today. And I realized that TV, film, and commercial had more opportunities for people of all ages, where, you know, theater sometimes it's kind of like there are very specific types in classic theater. And I mean, it's definitely changed a lot recently, but there just wasn't enough roles, I thought, that it convinced me to stick to musical theater at that age. I think now I could do it. Now I'm older, and I even had a callback for a Broadway show last year in New York City. And so I just realized I love singing. It's great. But right now, my career, the strategy is to do TV, film, and commercial. But yeah, I had a lot of singing training when I was studying to be a musical theater performer, and I still love to sing, you know, for myself every now and then, and with my friends and all that, and sometimes on the stream even.
If you were offered, would you do a lead role in a musical? Like we're talking like Wicked or the new Mean Girls. Like, would you want to do a role like that?
Yeah, you know, I actually I was thinking about that a lot because it felt like I was gonna get close with this Broadway show last year. And I thought about it. I love New York. I miss New York. LA is great, but I wouldn't mind living in New York City and being consistently employed. I think Broadway is a really cool opportunity. Now, do you mean a movie musical or do you
A
mean
movie,
Broadway?
a movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I even auditioned for Zoe's Infinite Playlist. I believe that was what it was called. It's a show that this girl, like, everything broke out. I think she had like an accent. Everything breaks out into song. It was kind of like Glee, if you will. But I auditioned for that show, and it's a great show, by the way. I recommend that one for sure. And I definitely would. You know, I think they were auditioning for Spring Awakening at one point. I don't know what happened. It seemed to have kind of halted on production. I know Ansel Elgort was originally cast for that, and so was Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, and they were cast and it was announced, and it just kind of disappeared for a couple of years. But Spring Awakening is a great musical. I think I would love to be in the movie musical for that. You know, I definitely, absolutely, maybe in the future too. I'd love to do Guys and Dolls. If they ever do a remake of Guys and Dolls, I would love to play Nicely Nicely, or even oh, what's his character's name? I'm forgetting. I'm having a blank, but yeah, definitely, I would definitely in a heartbeat do a movie musical.
You know, you've done a lot of acting roles, but I saw you had a lead editor role in Alone. And this is going very far back, and I'd love to ask about it because it's like the one role that's so different from everything else.
Yeah. A friend of mine had done a short film, and I had grown a love for editing, but more like editing kind of music video style. Like I would make a lot of edits of my own, like hangouts with friends and stuff like that, and put a song to it, and then just have us hanging out. And it was like I had a very fun time editing. And a friend of mine knew that, and he directed this short film that he wrote, and he asked me to be an editor for it. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I've never edited a whole short film before, but I'll give it a shot. And I edited some like that part, and he credited me on it, which was very sweet of him. Even though I was just kind of doing it. I don't think I got paid for it actually. I think it was just for free. I was like, yeah, let's do it. You know, it was an experience thing. It was like during COVID, you know, so there wasn't too much going on, and I was like, let's do it. You know, so yeah, I edit here and then. You know, I fumble around with the little editing mechanisms and all that, but that's the only thing that I have for editing in there is because I've never done it professionally. I've only done it for his short.
Do you think you may step into other sides of entertainment when it comes to producing or directing your own content in the future?
I have already stepped into directing. I've directed a good amount now. And a friend of mine, he was writing a lot of comedy scenes, and I've directed a couple of those for him. I've directed a pilot episode. And now I also teach at a performing arts college.
Oh, that's right.
And they asked me to also teach a high school program that they do every summer. And so I'm in charge of that. I come up with the curriculum, and I teach the students everything, and I get them ready to film a scene at the end of their time there, and also perform it on stage. And so I've directed a lot of their scenes with a professional crew and stuff. So I definitely want to get into like an actor I really admire. His career is similar to Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill, you know, he's done his funny raunchy comedies. He's done his things with Martin Scorsese, you know, Wolf of Wall Street, and being nominated for an Oscar for Moneyball and Wolf of Wall Street, you know. So he has these very great character changing roles, and then he ended up writing and directing his own films. I love mid 90s. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that movie, but mid 90s is such a great film, and he directed it. So I think I want a similar career where I continuously act, of course, but direct some things as well. That's definitely the plan.
You know, with you directing a couple things and, you know, teaching, is there a director you would like to work with if you could pick one?
One, okay.
You could pick one, and the director you pick, you get a lead role in one of his movies.
Give me.
Okay, I put you on the spot here.
you did, and you know what? I think I have an idea of like two or three. I'm just trying to rack in my brain.
Instead of one, have it just name a couple directors. We'll make it easier.
I know for sure because I love. Like I said, I like to edit a lot of things in music video style. And what that means for me is I do a lot of like rhythm based edits. I love Edgar Wright. I think Baby Driver was such a cool movie. And I just loved how the story moved along with music. And like I said, I'm a big music guy. So I think hands down would love to work with Edgar Wright. I think I want to work with some of the older veterans before their time goes, because I grew up in the generation in which we have these legend directors that have really set a tone for filmmaking. Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, you know, and I think I would definitely love to work with Martin Scorsese 100%. And oh, it's so upsetting because he wants to stop after the next film, I think, but Quentin Tarantino would be really cool to work with because I mean, I know like people have their thoughts about Quentin Tarantino, but you can't deny that he's an incredible director. And so I think those are my three. But if I had to choose one, I think I'd pick Edgar Wright because I think I would love to do a film so heavily music based and rhythm based, and I just like a lot of his stuff that he writes. So
it's funny you mentioned that. Not even I'd say 2 weeks ago, I was just watching Baby Driver. So that's pretty funny that you've mentioned that.
It's one of my favorites. It's so good. And Jamie Foxx does an incredible job in that movie as well. And oh, it's really good. Oh, okay.
If you were in Scream, right, would you rather be someone that survives for multiple movies or be a killer for one movie?
See, look, I'm a very stocky guy. I got wide shoulders. I'm a big boy. So I don't think I could successfully be in the Ghostface costume and convince people that that's not me.
I
I
just
think it'd be very
I
obvious.
can just
So
imagine you like you're sitting there, and then your ghost face looks very similar to that one guy.
he's kind of short and very wide. I don't think I'd be able to. If what I would love to do, because I've done this before. I've played a mastermind killer before, um, who actually did have like an organization that he made called like the Owls or something like that, and I did have the owl mask and everything. But the thing is, I'm the one who pulled the strings and planned everything. I think if I were to ever do that, I think I'd be that guy. I don't think I'd be the one physically doing all. If anything, I'd be like having henchmen or people do that part for me while I do all the planning and being so intelligent that no one can solve. And I would leave no breadcrumbs. I would leave no fingerprints, that kind of stuff. Like I'd be very. I think I would play. I think I would prefer that actually. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I would be the organizer of Ghostface. I think that's the type of character I would love to play. The very intelligent, you can't catch me no matter how hard you investigate, organizer of the murders. I think that's probably the better option. And of course, I would love to be a survivor, but there's just something about being a part of the legacy of all the Ghostface killers. Like it's so cool. Like starting from Billy Loomis, and it just goes all the way down the line. And I would definitely, I think I prefer that. But that's the type of Ghostface I would play. I think I'd be the guy in the chair kind of thing.
It kind of give me like from what you're saying, the professor from like Money Heist. Like I feel like
Yes.
that's a role that you would just,
Yes.
yeah,
I love Money Heist. The professor in that is brilliant, and that's exactly right. Yes.
What made you join Cameo? That's what I wanted to ask. What made you join Cameo?
It's funny. I've enough people were messaging me on Instagram, saying very nice things about here and there. And then I had a friend who was doing Cameo, and he sent me a code. And I was like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll give this a shot. And I did. And surprisingly, I've been able to, get a lot of messages on there. And I've done a couple birthday messages as Louis Litt. They wanted me to do it as Louis Litt. So I've done it like that. I've done some just as me. I've done some cameos where I play the piano for them or play guitar, or I like to make them very entertaining. It gets you. It's a really cool way to be able to converse with people that you don't get to see on the daily, and that's kind of why I joined it, because I was getting enough messages, and my friend gave me the code, and he has been doing it. It's kind of like his job right now. In between, as an actor, we get paid by the gig. So for some reason you're having a really slumpy year where you're just not filming anything, it can be a little hard. You have to have several jobs, and so I wanted a job in which I could have fun, and give back. And some people do really want to be able to have an opportunity to speak with people who they see on television or film, and I'm happy to be able to be a part of that community now.
Well, I think it was pretty funny because when I did search you up in Cameo, there was actually a period where you were the second result. Funny enough, you were the second. When you searched up Suits, you were the second result. Funny
Really?
enough, yeah, you were just past Rick, which is really funny to think about. You were
Rick and Esteban. That's funny.
You were for a little
Good,
bit.
I'm glad.
You were the second result. For a while there. So it's kind of funny how that works. How you have Rick and then you. It's like
Yeah, I
older,
didn't know
younger
that.
when it comes to Cameo. Now,
That makes me happy.
from what you were saying before as well, do you get more requests to do you or Lewis? From what you were saying.
So far, it's been more me, but I have had a couple Lewis ones, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure if this is one of your questions later on, because I'm still friends with a lot of the writers, and Aaron Korsh, the creator suit, actually messaged me last year and sent me a really nice text message. And people have asked me like, would you ever want to keep doing that? And honestly, yes. I love the character. I love that role. I would love to have continued doing it. Um, though I will say, like, that character takes a lot of energy. I remember when I was filming, I was pretty tired by the end of the day, because it was a lot of mannerisms to keep up with, energy. The type, Lewis is someone who gets quickly just unhinged out of nowhere. He'll get upset and just yell at you, and over like a real, he has a very short fuse, and so that character was pretty tiring to play. But I would definitely do it again, and I've realized doing the cameos as Louis Litt sometimes, I'm like, man, this character is tiring, and tough, but That's why I was. That's why I put the work into it. That's why it is work. If it was easy, it wouldn't be work. So
We'll just manifest it a spin-off suit show where it's the childhood lives of Lewis and Harvey, and it's
that'd be cool.
imagine that.
Like us in Harvard. Like us. That'd be really cool because the show Suits
Yeah, because
really talks about Harvard so often. It'd be kind of cool to see a show where like Lewis and Harvey maybe were in different classes because I'm assuming Lewis is a little bit older than Harvey, but maybe they were in different classes at Harvard and they would just see each other along the hallway, or maybe that's where the rivalship kind of started. And I would definitely, if they came to me and were like, "Would you be interested in a Harvard Times Louis Litt show with maybe Harvey in there as well?" It would definitely depend on who they're casting as a young Harvey, because that's some big shoes to fill. But I would definitely be interested. Absolutely, I would love to look into that and see where they plan to take the show. And I think that'd be a really cool idea. The Harvey days. I mean, the Harvard days, Lewis and Harvey.
Sounds like a way to get some free Harvard merch from that time period.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
If you had to pick, right, for this show, what would you want your first rivalry scene between Lewis to be? Not between
Against
Harvey.
Harvey?
Harvey, sorry. Harvey, not Louis. Lewis.
Like a rivalry between Harvey and Lewis.
Yeah, maybe like a mock trial or,
Yeah, it's interesting. It could go many different ways. Harvey's especially back in college, I'm assuming he was probably a playboy. Um and um he was probably suave, and Lewis is uh a hopeless romantic. I think it'd be interesting to see maybe a crush in college on the same girl, and Harvey, of course, gets her. It'd be interesting to see a mock trial where I say something and Harvey just completely humiliates me based off of what I say, and that's where it kind of starts. I would love to see that. I think if anything, at first, maybe I like him a lot. I'm like, oh my god, he's great at law, just like me. He's got a passion for it. And then maybe the rivalry started because Harvey humiliated Lewis in the very first mock trial of, I don't even know what the topic would be, but anything. I think that would make sense to embarrass Lewis because he gets such a fragile ego. So
this is a bit specific, but as Lewis, where do you get your square pizza from? You've done your work at Harvard, and where do you get your square pizza from? Come on,
I know the scene you're talking about because they're testing Mike. Oh,
Young Lewis,
and Mike was like, "I'm more of a burger guy."
yeah,
Oh,
Lewis has had a hard day, and he goes to get some square pizza.
I don't have the answer for you right now. Angelino's? I forgot. I completely forgot.
Pinocchio? No, it's like, oh no, it's like, oh, now you've got me having a mind blank. I have the answer.
I know the exact scene you're talking about. Yeah, you got me there.
Imagine some scenes, you just eating some square pizza,
Yep.
and well, honestly,
That's true.
I know you do a bit of traveling, and as an Australian, have you been to Australia yet?
No, I haven't. I would love to because I know a lot of people who I've met a lot of Australians from my studies of performing arts. A lot of Australians are really talented. I think it's the school system that y'all have, because I believe you start focusing on what you want to do in life in high school. Where in high school in America, we study everything and we don't have a focus really, and then we go into college and then we have our focus. But I realize a lot of Australians are really talented. I would love to visit Australia. It looks beautiful. I'm a little scared of the waters, I don't and the animals and stuff, but no, I definitely 100% would love to visit Australia.
I can confirm the animals are definitely overhyped. It's not as bad as people make it. Obviously, the
Okay.
waters are dangerous as anything, but as long as you're like in a general area, you should be fine.
Okay, good.
Though I
Because I
can't.
love, me, I love a beach.
Yeah, you would love
So
Australia.
I love the
There's
ones.
a crap ton of beaches you could pick from.
Which specific region of Australia you're in? Is it Sydney,
Sydney,
Melbourne?
yep.
Sydney. Okay,
Sydney,
cool.
yep.
Yeah. I mean, well, let me, if you don't mind me, I mean, there's so many talented actors like the Hemsworth brothers, and of course Heath Ledger, and which are you guys like really proud of that,
Yeah,
or do you
yeah,
have
yeah,
like
yeah.
American actors who you prefer?
No, I think we love our Australians. Chris Hemsworth, Margaret Robbie. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many. And Oh, Sam Worthington. I know he's Aussie, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Sam Worthington. I didn't know he was Australian actually.
I
I thought he
think
was
he
like
is.
UK or something
Unless
like that.
I'm being pulling the stupid here, but I'm pretty sure he's Australian.
Hmm.
If I am mistaken, I do apologize, but I don't think you've done a video game yet.
No, I haven't. In fact, I rarely ever do voiceover. I've had a few auditions, but it's not something I've tackled. And I would love to do video games. Absolutely, I would love to do some of the motion capture stuff because I may be a larger individual, but I'm very physical, and I think I could have really fun time doing the motion capture of some video games and the voice acting of it. And as you know, I play video games on stream, so I definitely love gaming, and it's fun, and it sounds like something I would really love to do in my life, and I just haven't had that moment happen yet. And that and animation, I would love to do animated stuff and even anime. I love anime and the voice acting, and I think it's so raw and there's so much emotion behind it. So no, I've not done that yet. Would love to,
Is there a
So
studio
something
you
about
think you'd want to work with? Maybe you got your Rockstar. You've got you know. Is there anyone you'd like to work?
yeah.
Activision, if you want to go the Call of Duty route.
Yeah, I think Rockstar. I think it'd be fun to play a character in Grand Theft Auto. I mean, I know Grand Theft Auto 6 is already kind of in development, so I doubt there'll be a character for that, but there's always Grand Theft Auto 7, you know.
I think you've
Um,
got like 15 years until
Probably a
that.
lot of years, yeah. Then at that age, I'll be able to be old enough to play like a Trevor, like a role like Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5, which I think is probably better, So, yeah, I would say probably Rockstar. Or is which one's the one with The Last of Us? Who are they with?
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog. Yeah, they have a lot of great story games. Now, I mean, like I do also love oh, what is League of Legends with?
Is that Epic Games? I think.
Epic. No, Epic is Fortnite and stuff like
Oh,
that.
who does
I
League of
think
Legends?
Riot.
Riot Games. That's
Right.
it. At Riot Games.
I've worked with Riot before because the show I did called Players that was based off of e-gamers, professional e-gamers. It was like a
Oh, that's
mockumentary.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was a mockumentary based off of e-gamers, and League of Legends was the video game we played. And funny enough, because I knew how to play the game in my audition tape, I sent in clips of me playing League of Legends. And so during the improvisation of that show, I was able to use all my knowledge of League of Legends, and I did, and that was fun. But Riot was involved with a lot of the promotion of League of Legends. I mean, of Players, the TV show, and a lot of the production of it. So I technically have worked with Riot, but I would definitely say to voiceover stories between Naughty Dog and Rockstar games.
Now for Rockstar, GTA. I feel like I know the answer, but GTA or Red Dead Redemption.
I think I fit the world more of GTA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, like in Young Sheldon, I had to do a Southern accent, I did a Texas accent. So I don't. It's not so much that I just don't see myself. I think I fit more
In
into
the
like I've done recently. There are two films I just recently did in which I got to bring my South Florida style into it. Because I've there's something I realized heavily. My friend Luke recently made light of this. He's like, you code switch a lot, right? And I'm like, I do, don't I? I have, I grew up in the South Florida. If you know anything about South Florida, we're kind of we have a term called JIT, which means juvenile in training. We're just a bunch of hood goons, just kind of walking around the neighborhoods, hanging around in parking lots, and that's what I did growing up. And so I got to really channel a lot of that, which you're gonna see in GTA 6 probably, that style of because it takes place in Florida, a lot of it. And I just feel like that's me. I feel like that's more me than playing a cowboy, So I would definitely have to say I'd probably fit and would have more improv fun with GTA. I think I would have a blast in the studio, and they would also have fun with me on that one.
Well, I feel like any Rockstar game, yeah, that's just being a part of Rockstar in general is just a great credit to have regardless. So, but moving on from that, and my last two questions, I know I said that before, but you reminded me of
That's okay.
of a section.
As many as you want.
Now I know you stream. This is kind of two in one. How did you get into streaming, and what was your biggest stream that you've ever done?
So I never meant for it to become an income. I just kind of did it for fun, and I also did it because as an actor, they like to see that you have different skills, and you post videos of you playing those skills. So I made like a video gaming reel, where like I had a couple clips of me gaming and having the personality and having the shots of me playing games and stuff like that. So I did it mostly for that, where I would have it recorded, I would have the energy of it, and then I'd be able to edit a video of me playing games. So my agents can always push me as a gamer for auditions and stuff like that with that video clip. One day I kind of did it recently this past September, I believe, and I posted on my Instagram and TikTok, like just letting people know, hey, I'm hopping on, and then people hopped on, and it kind of blew up, and it became very successful very quickly, and I'm very blessed with that because it became another income of mine that I do now weekly to have fun. You know, I had one stream earlier today, and I'm having another one later today.
Yeah, I did see your little story
Oh,
post.
you saw me on
Yeah,
today?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, and that's I have a very specific schedule now, and I feel responsible now because people are subscribed to me monthly. People are paying specifically, not like YouTube or anything like that. They're paying specifically me, like, hey, we want to see your content monthly. So they're paying for me monthly. And now I feel responsible, like, oh, this is something that's not just like I can just pop up and just do it whenever I want. Now it's like, now I have a schedule to maintain. And it's like another job, which I love it. It's fun. I bring my friends on all the time. I have a music friend who I think he deserves the world in the music industry, and he has not been seen enough. And he came onto my stream, and more people are listening to his music, and now people love his music and are listening to it consistently. And that's my goal with the stream, is to bring all my unvoiced people, not unvoiced, but unheard people, people who are trying to break the algorithm, people who are trying to get into their industry.
Bring them
So I
into
bring
the
them on.
spotlight.
Yeah, bring him into the spotlight. That's why I use my thing for. I kind of do hosting. I even want to do like a almost like a Tonight Show host style stream one day. But I would say the most largest stream I did a 12-hour stream, um, from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., where I invited some of my friends, and we did like, it was like a sleepover thing. We all wore pajamas, and we did like a giant pillow fight, and then we did games, and we made cocktails, and some people fell asleep, and if they fell asleep, we made a prank on them, and then they would sleep in the back, and then the people who were still alive and wake, we would just focus on the stream here, and then eventually by 7 a.m. only two of us made it to the
Did
end.
you make
Uh,
it?
I made it to the end. Yeah. I made it. Oh, well, yeah. I felt responsible, but it was also, we were having so much fun. And that was very successful. I think around like, a good amount of people were like consistently watching that stream. And surprisingly, I have a lot of viewers on the other side of the world. I have some Australian viewers, I have some UK, Germany. I have a lot of viewers, more European, surprisingly. And it was better for them because most of my streams happened at their 3 a.m. This one was happening during their day because it was 12 hours from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Pacific time. And it was basically during the day for them. So it was very successful. I definitely want to do another 12-hour stream. Maybe one day I'll do a 24 but sometimes I do some charities on there as well. So maybe I'll do like one of those for charities, 24-hour stream or something like that.
I was actually
But that
just about
12-hour
to ask
stream.
if you were going to do a 24-hour and you got it for me. Well, it saves me.
Yeah.
Would you do a subathon? Is that what they're called? Where like each sub or something adds to the timer that you stay live for?
Oh, wow. I never heard of that. So you keep going depending on how many subs you get. Oh
Yes.
my
So
goodness.
I think it's Ludwig that did it, where
Uh,
every sub added like 5 minutes, and he was
okay.
streaming for like a month straight. Um,
Wow.
yeah, because people kept subbing.
If I were to do that, I would have to not be doing my current job of teaching at the school. I'd have to be
Yeah.
just like really free from auditions and everything like that if I were to do that. But that sounds very interesting, actually. I'm interested to do that.
They could do a little
So
charity thing, and also people love seeing streamers stay up for ages because of the some of the
yeah,
things.
I think it's like seeing streamers. I think it's like that. There's like a car accident happening, but you can't help but look at it. You want to look away, but you have to look at it. I think that's what it is for streamers. These people are exhausting themselves for the viewerships, and I think that's what makes it so interesting. People are like, wow, can I do that? It makes you wonder. Like, that's probably why I think it's so successful, those moments like that, because people are just inspired in a way of they never thought anyone could do something like that. So
Mate, thank you so much for this interview. I've had a blast. It's cool getting to know the young Louis Litt, Esteban. It's been really good. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've had a great time as well with the questions. So
thank you so much, Dale. I really appreciate it.
thank you so much.